My name is Yuri. I just got married to my husband Masakazu 6 months ago. Masakazu was a man who could afford to be a laid-back person before we got married, but right after we got married, his income dropped drastically due to his transfer at the company. I'm okay with that. I don't think that men need to be the one to earn money nowadays, or that the person who earns more is better, but my husband's attitude changed.
Hey, you think less of me, don't you?
No, I wouldn't look at you that way.
It's fine, I know. You just want me to move on to a guy who makes more money. Yeah.
What are you talking about? I'm not saying that. We're living comfortably, aren't we? You must be tired. You'd better just go to bed early. He was probably under a lot of stress due to the change in environment, so I decided to treat him in a way that wouldn't provoke him. We're not a couple that just started dating, and I don't want to rush to conclusions because he's the one I decided to marry. I'd be happy if he could relax and rest his heart, but…
Is that a new dress? You're showing off? I can't even afford to buy clothes.
If you want to buy clothes, let's go buy them. It's our money as a couple, so you don't have to worry.
I'm fine with what I have now, so I don't need any clothes, but…
Really? Then I'll be careful not to spend money on waste. I did all the housework, let him look at my phone and all the mail to prove that I had no desire to cheat on him, bought as little clothing and cosmetics as possible so as not to irritate him, and started cutting my own hair. All of this was to get my husband back to the pleasant husband he used to be. But one day I ran out of patience. That day I got a lot of delicious-looking wild vegetables from someone at work. Let's make tempura from wild vegetables today. Freshly caught wild vegetable tempura is such a luxury. With these thoughts in mind, I excitedly fried the tempura. But when I put them on the table…
You're doing this out of spite, aren't you? Serving weeds that grow around here for dinner? Are you saying that I'm poor? I feel awful!
He yelled at me, threw down his chopsticks, and left before I could say anything. I looked at him in dismay, then ate the tempura because I didn't care anymore. Wild vegetables are not weeds, they're delicious. I don't know if it was because it was delicious or out of sadness. I ate all of my husband's wild vegetable tempura, rice, and miso soup as well. It was delicious, but I ate too much. While rubbing my stomach, I remembered what had happened recently. I realized that I haven't heard any words of appreciation, such as delicious or thank you, from Masakazu's mouth since he transferred, and his salary was drastically reduced. If I make a side dish out of ingredients that have a cheap reputation from Masakazu, such as bean sprouts, tofu, and deep-fried tofu, or a vegetable dish with health in mind…
You serve such lousy meals because I don't make enough money!
But if I make a meat-based dish or anything with a slightly luxurious impression…
You bought this with your salary, didn't you? You're doing this out of spite! Just because my salary is low!
Why am I so devoted to Masakazu? Something brightened up in front of me, and I realized that my love for Masakazu's dried up. I felt a lot better when I thought we might get a divorce. After I went to bed, I noticed Masakazu coming home after drinking in the middle of the night, but I pretended to be asleep and ignored him completely. Lucky for him, since I leave earlier in the morning. I left some bread on the table and went to work as usual. He should be thankful that I prepared it for him. And that night, as soon as Masakazu came home, he got angry with me.
You're still mad because I hit the nail on the head! This is why I don't like women, since they're hysterical!
When I talked back to him, as if he was saying, "You see," he kept calling me hysterical. I was recording it just in case, so I stayed silent and ignored it as I kept collecting more of his usual lines to me. This guy talks so much. He didn't even take off his suit jacket when he came home. While I was impressed with him, he must have gotten a sore throat from talking too much. Why is this guy yelling at me to that extent? I almost laughed when I saw my husband coughing and drinking water. I turned my head and thought I shouldn't laugh.
You think crying will make it better?
And he finally took off his jacket, threw his bag, and went to the shower. That was close. I stopped recording for a moment and can't help but say that and laugh. I would usually worry about Masakazu's mood, but things were so much funnier now. I was so stupid. I felt a great deal of self-loathing, but after Masakazu took a bath, the TV I wanted to watch started just then, so I turned it on. Then I felt Masakazu getting out of the bath, so I started recording again. Masakazu came back from the bath and was surprised to see me laughing at the TV. I'm sure he was expecting me to cry and apologize to him.
Getting excited while watching some stupid show? You really are low level.
He walked up to the TV with a thump and turned it off. But when I turned it back on with the remote control, he turned around with an incredulous look on his face, looked at me blankly for a moment, then clicked his tongue and locked himself in his bedroom. Normally, this is where I would be trying to get my husband in a good mood, but I don't feel like anything anymore. I don't feel anything, so what's the point in being a couple? I was stupid too, but I was doing my best in my own way. But in the end, divorce was the only way. I married him because I loved him, and I thought that even if his job changed or his income decreased, we would still support each other as a couple. I can't just sit around and moan about it. I'm getting a divorce. The action that followed was surprisingly quick. A few days after that, the days were flying by, but I kept a diary and accumulated some evidence. I secretly packed my things, used my paid time off when Masakazu was at work, contacted my sister and her husband, and had them drive me out. My family, who heard the recordings and evidence, comforted me, and my father's acquaintance referred me to a lawyer who was good with divorce. Then, Masakazu contacted me when he realized I was gone.
Where are you?
It doesn't matter.
You're not going on a trip, are you? You're just showing off how much money you have. You gotta be kidding me! Just because I don't make enough. I'm getting a divorce.
Yes, let's get a divorce.
What?
I've hired a lawyer, so please talk to my lawyer about the rest.
Wait a minute, hey!
Then the meeting with Masakazu began.
She disrespects me because she makes more money than me. I'm the victim. If we get divorced, give me her money. Her money is our money.
Was he possessed by something? He was obsessed with money. But when the lawyer played Masakazu's words that I recorded, Masakazu shut up.
I want you to listen to your own words objectively and make a calm decision.
After that, he stopped talking about money, but this time he began to complain.
I won't divorce her. I need you to persuade Yuki too.
In the meantime, I received a call from Masakazu's parents-in-law, who cried to me, so we decided to meet at a family restaurant.
I heard you and Masakazu are getting a divorce.
My son was crying and talking, so I don't really know, but I'd like to know how it happened. I'm still puzzled as to why Masakazu was born from these two people who are both good people with common sense. I asked them to read my diary, which my lawyer told me would be evidence, and played the recording. I made an effort to compromise, but I couldn't do it anymore. It became impossible. I tried to put on a bit of an act to my astonished in-laws, but I actually got teary-eyed when I told them.
I'm sorry about her son for pushing Yuki-san to this point.
It's no wonder you want to get divorced. Yuki, please divorce him and be happy. And after my in-laws agreed to the divorce, somehow my husband returned to his original personality right when we got married and became calm. Even though he apologized, I didn't feel anything.
I'll give you all my deposits. I was out of my mind.
Apart from the alimony, the joint savings will be neatly bisected because it was your right. I'm sorry, but I can't just rip off your hard-earned money. I don't want your money, you know. Since we separated, I started going to the hairdressers and bought clothes from my favorite brands that were reasonably priced and not just under 1,000 yen. And I had returned to the way I was when I first got married.
Just like the good old days. You're back to the old you.
During our last discussion, my husband was somewhat impressed with my appearance.
I'll never say things like that again. You'll start over with me, won't you?
I just stopped putting up with things I was doing for this person that I didn't need to do at all. I'm sure his brain went, she's back to her old self to start over with me. I won't put up with it for you anymore. Thank you for everything. I doubt we'll ever see each other again.
What? Why? You came back to your old self for me, didn't you? You used to be such a wreck. My income won't be recovered, but you don't care about money, so why not? Let's start over.
When I gave him back the ring, he started crying again, and after being admonished by his lawyer, I was finally able to have the divorce papers written and filed. I was finally free from Masakazu, and I used the paid time off to do things I hadn't been able to do for a while. After that, Masakazu's parents-in-law,
What have you done to their daughter?
they were so furious that they're in a state of partial estrangement from each other. Masakazu tried to cry to his siblings and relatives, but his parents-in-law contacted them and refused to speak to him. After that, I saw someone who looked a lot like Masakazu around town, but he was walking around in a tired suit with no trace of the man who used to abuse me. In the meantime, I got my alimony in one lump sum, and I'm getting transferred out of here. I don't think I'll ever see him again. With the wild vegetables and bamboo shoots I got as a present for my transfer, I'll make wild vegetable tempura and rice cooked with bamboo shoots. I thought that as I headed home. Thanks for watching!
Don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button. Bye!